Yo, what's up, guys? How is it going? It is Nick here with some raw day trading. And today we had a little bit of a scattered, diffuse, mildly uninteresting day, but Bitcoin was trying to break 100K and did not quite break it, at least in the regular market hours. After hours here, it's looking like it's not going to break it as well. And we are doing just like kind of hovering under 100K, teasing traders in. And it could be a trap or it could just end up going overnight. But let's go check out and see what all the action was doing today. See if we can pick apart some lessons. Right now, I'm sitting at basically break even, up $70, and pretty whatever day. There were a couple stocks that I thought were really going to hit it, and ZENA. So SPAI, basically a government defense contracting name, was really moving in the pre-market. Kind of made this move up to $7 from $3.45. I had been watching it for 2 days now. The first day I didn't really capitalize. Yesterday I did okay on it, and then today, I'm not really ready to trade in any coherent state, probably until 9:15 at the earliest, and even then I really don't make a habit of trading the pre-market just because it's a little bit more wild. The orders, it's just a little bit of a different structure, and it's simpler to just trade after the open for me, especially using market orders and not having to rely on my DOS platform. But the SPI makes this big move, and then Xena, which is a similar sort of news story, also a government contractor, had a really clean daily chart. I wasn't too enthralled about this kind of 1 minute dry action here, but the 5 minute looked mildly interesting, and I was like, this really could shape up to be a nice runner here, especially if SPAI goes. Fast forward 5 minutes now into the open. SPAI just does nothing, basically. It just falls apart. Like, has one quick back test up into 6.5 and then halts down, which is structurally thinking about it, it's the third day of momentum on this name. It's kind of like that blow off top, like all the long traders get what they want. And whoever was swinging that long from the news, from the increase in tensions in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which they're a supplier for, from the kind of ratification of being able to use landmines, that all kind of came to a head, and then it popped up, and now this is people taking profit. So it turns into that kind of buy the rumor, sell the news type of event. So Xena didn't really make any moves. I think I maybe tried one trade on it, and that was actually pre-market that I tried it. But I didn't really make any moves into the open, and that's that. So those two names off the list. I kept Xena on tabs. Actually, I might have traded down here trying to get like a low bounce on it. But being that SPI went, I was very cautious, very quick to go hands off on it, very, very hesitant to enter as well, because they were correlated news-wise, and I figured they'd be correlated action-wise, which they were. CRNC, I did not like this one. This had the feel and the taste of one of those bio names that I couldn't really predict, and I probably would have to trade it on a longer time frame under a different set of signals than what I wanted to trade. So I just skipped it, and I moved on to the next stock, which was QUBT, which is a higher float name. It's also the second day of continuation on this one, maybe even the third. I did not like it, but it did catch traction. It did catch Momo. I was looking at it yesterday. I did not like the action. It's kind of like it's doing the 1 penny spread type thing. So it's like a bid and the ask are kind of like right on each other like that, and not really making any meaningful any meaningful spreads where you can read interesting things from it, and that ends up being where it's like if it makes a move that it looks like it's going one direction, it's almost definitely going the other direction until it's not, and then it just really blows out traders. So it creates a dynamic that really I don't like. So, but that can be said with anything. You just have to get used to it and trade it the right way. Also, I did not see any penny names today. The only name that I saw that was really kind of starting to move was this WORX. And I had a really funky fill on it. I had a couple of really funky fills on it. And I think this is going to be the only thing that's meaningful to watch here, because the rest are kind of like trades that are spread out throughout the day on different stocks where it's like I had to like wait for it for a long time. Okay, so this one, I get like a half fill here, and I take it out at break even. Interesting. Okay, so that was a wonky fill, and I was able to use the bid and get filled there. It's in a weird spot because it's like that 5 minute just closed. Maybe it's going to do a reversal. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to hold above VWAP. Maybe it's not. And it's doing an action where it like it'll ping back and forth so many times that you think it's going to go or you think it's going to fail each time, and it's always by like 1 penny that it does this. And so it had me there jump in again at 93. I ended up cutting down at 91 and rinsed myself for $100. And I like for some actually 94 to 91. For some reason, I thought this was going to go. Actually, here's why I didn't like it. Because the minute I got filled, it was just below me. So I get filled on the way up, and it doesn't even give me a second where it hesitates and thinks about it. It's just like, nope, your money is mine. I'm taking that. And I'm just like, I don't like names like this. And so I back off the gas. I get a little bit more selective with my entries. I try to get in down here. I get filled actually at a really good price. Ends up going a little bit lower there for a second. But, so it's hesitating. And again, it's hesitating below my entry. And I'm just like, wow, this stuff is annoying. Because if that unwinds down to 75, that's a $400 loss. And I'm just like, I don't want to do that. Which, ideally, if it did unwind, that's where it would end up. Like, if I'm a short, I'm like, yeah, I think it can get to 75. And I was thinking that too. So it's sitting here. It dipped down here till, let's just watch this one more time. It's from 95, 94, I get filled there. I just want to see where it comes down. Yeah, so it kind of makes a red candle there. Does this dip right there. I'm able to get in at a decent price, but the selling pressure is just so much. Not breaking down though. The selling pressure tended to stay at around 85. But not really dip below 82, 81. And so it was like a hard place to position for, because if it does dip below that, what am I going to get back in there at 84 again? Or wait for it to go lower? I probably would have been able to do something on the bid there. There's some bids stacking up there actually at 82 and maybe down at 81. And I think that's what I did. Did I do that? What did I do? Okay, so I get back in here at the hesitation. I get out. Okay, I make 3 cents on that. And that actually takes me back to flat. Interesting. I don't even remember making any money on this name on any of the trades. I thought I just lost on it, but apparently I did make some money. But now I feel like I gave it away too early and I get in too high. Immediately I get back out. And then that one, okay, so now it's kind of, so what I needed to do here was realize that it stopped making progress forward and take a step back instead of doing that jump in. And I get that, I get that, but like it takes me a second, and hopefully I don't jump in again at the highs here when it goes to 95. I don't think that would be appropriate, but yeah, so I jump in. Oh, and it's not breaking 95, and then I get out at 91, and that kind of put me at sort of peak frustration on the name, kind of before peak frustration, but it was enough to be like, I don't like how this is moving. I'm going to back off. I back off, and c'est la vie. I give it a little bit of space. It ends up jerking people around, and then it goes. And what I didn't realize, and I didn't sit around and wait for, was this consolidation phase. I knew it was there. I knew this was happening. I think either that, or I was just like too busy looking around at other stuff, trying to time Xena to see if there was a rebound from the halt, so I can play from the SPAI halt. And then this happens. Nice kind of tight volume here. Attacking high once again. I'm thinking it's going to take a dip. That's my bet. My bet is wrong. It ends up moving higher, and I don't get into this. So what I could have seen is, like, one, I could have been focused on it because it was the only thing that I thought was valid to move, unless I was watching QBT, which I didn't want to watch. But I could have been focused on level 2. I could have been watching this drama here. And this drama would have told me that it just keeps creeping higher. So maybe a 98 position from this point. Oh, nope, it's not going to give it to me. It's going to keep going. And so now I have to make a choice whether I want to jump in, maybe wait for the candle close. Well, no, it just goes, and it goes hard. That thing just made, wow, 20-cent move when it was having trouble making a 5-cent move, a 36-cent move. And it just really, really, really went. And from that point on, I was like, wow, I got to step back. I really let it go. I really didn't take advantage of what was in front of me. One of the things I have noticed is sometimes these difficult trading names, they are liable to go the hardest. And there's two reasons I might think. Reason one is that you have all of these sellers that are like lined up, hidden sellers just unloading every time the stock gets to a level, or sellers, whether they're hidden or open, and they just unload on the stock at the highs. But then finally it kind of consolidates, sets for a while, and then creeps up, and they unload like one last time, but not as many people because they kind of see something else forming. And then it really just explodes. All the people who kind of like built in there are just blown out by this. And I think that's kind of what happened there. It was such a violent move that even if I was short, I'd be like waiting for that, that dip to get out at a mildly better price. And I think a lot of people just got caught off guard here. The other thing that happened is it is just a pattern. I was buying in the wrong spots. I was buying for breakouts. I was not buying the dips. And that I just have to level with that. And sometimes there's markets where I can get away with that, and there's markets where I kind of have to rein it in and buy a little bit more intelligently. And today was one of those days where I just didn't do that. And so I was down 150. It wasn't a big deal. I ended up making it back on a couple of things, and I ended up being up like $80 on the day, $79, $78 on the day, just enough to get a couple groceries, get a couple snacks at Whole Foods basically, and that was my day. Not a super interesting day. I spent the last half of the day just watching actually BDRX. Yeah, but like even this, like BDRX went in later in the evening, but it's like at this point it had, where's the volume? It had less than 1 million shares of volume. It halts up, and it halts up like going up 50% almost. Maybe I'd already started up maybe 20%. Now it's up 30%. So it's like I don't want to take a halt, like take a trade out of this halt, when it just goes up like that, but we can watch it, see how it goes. I mean, maybe it's just so ridiculous I have to take it because it's such like a contrarian play where it's just like, oh, it's got to dip, but it just doesn't dip. No, that even... So you buy at 620 right there, or 611 as it tries to dip. Or right there, 599 holding. And then you sell there. I don't know. That just doesn't seem like a fun recipe for sustained success in my book. And I didn't take it, and voila. QUBT held up and kind of did some random moves all throughout the afternoon, but it was nothing that I was super interested in. Again, I've just been around long enough to lose money on those stocks enough times where I just don't care. This is a little bit later in the day. I think this was when I was waiting for Bitcoin. Yeah, the QBT is high. IBG is one of those like sleeper names that should have died at, where was it? Kind of should have been dead at this point right here. Kind of curls up. I take a couple trades on it. I do good on it. I do okay on it at first, make it like 150, and then I think I give it back to like $62 or something. And then BTCS, I'm just sitting here waiting for Bitcoin to blast over 100K. It does not end up doing that. I don't have video from my later trades on it, but there was a point where I did take a position and it was doing a little creep. And I made whatever, close to $100 on it or something. Flipped me back green on the day. I had a pretty sizable position. It was in there for that break of 100K on Bitcoin, and it did not happen, and I had to unwind it. It was a disappointing unwind because that could have been a fun trade to have on as Bitcoin blasted through highs. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Maybe I'll bring that trade back again, but I doubt it because I'm sure there will be just something else to do. Anyways, that's the recap for today. Nothing too interesting. Day trading is risky. Don't try this at home with real money until you're risking money that you can afford to risk, and then you realize most day traders lose money. My results are not typical. I've also done this for now close to 5 years, and it just is what it is. It's a very difficult game where everyone and every structure in the market is trying to take your money, from the SEC fees, from the commissions, from the market makers, to the other traders, to the way the charts work, to the gaming of the gamifying nature of the zero commission to make you trade more. Just everything's set up against you. You just have to realize that and go in very cautiously and kind of proof your ideas on low share size and low risk and almost no risk, preferably in a simulator, before you put real money on the line, and also realize even then you might not be successful. So that's all I got for you today. Hope you guys got something from this. Good entertainment at least. This is really just for myself in the future. And that's all. I will catch you all tomorrow for a Friday show. Peace out.